when we just think about money, what happens in the body? What do you feel? If I say, look at your bank account, what are you going to feel? What shows up? We all have an experience. And I think one of my beginning explorations around money was just feeling, I guess, an understanding and awareness of the systemic societal pressure around money and individualism and being good and successful. And I think from a young age, I was like, how am I going to be successful? How am I going to be successful? This was so much of my belief and ideas. And then I don't know about you, but I went through many money manifestation courses. And then I was like, wait, hold on, this isn't working. And then I was like, maybe if I do better, maybe if I do better. And then part of my journey was studying money trauma, how we experience money through our bodies. And that opened another door to the ancestral story of money. And I remember actually teaching a workshop once on this, where a woman who was from South Asian descent was sharing about her family, and we don't talk about money. We don't talk about this. The fact that we're even talking about this is, what? Are we allowed to? There's a brush under the rug. Make sure everything's fine. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the feeling. And so there is this story that we all hold, this experience that we all hold from what our ancestors have taught us, what our parents, our grandparents, and their parents have taught us, and also recognizing these cultural and ancestral ties to our own money stories. I believe it's one of the pieces. I think there's, of course, the personal. What's the personal story that you have, maybe from something that you experience? There's the societal experience, and there's the familial intergenerational experience. So that has opened up my eyes and my heart and my mind and my body from what I have learned from my family in those ways.
Hello and welcome back to the Cycle Starters podcast. Today, I am so freaking excited to be joined again by Malia Wright-Merer for her second time on the show. Malia is a trauma-informed facilitator and coach who supports people in reclaiming worth, rest, and belonging through embodied practice, with a deep focus on how our relationships with money, power, and care live in the body. In this conversation, we'll explore Malia's work through the lens of ancestral money stories. We'll talk about how family patterns can shape what we believe is possible, what enough feels like in the nervous system, and how we can begin to soften inherited scarcity and survival strategies with curiosity and compassion. I also want to make sure that you know that Malia's upcoming workshop on Wednesday, May 20th is called Money Story, an Ancestral Journey. It's a 90-minute somatic and reflective experience designed to help participants explore how money has moved through their lineage, what's been inherited consciously and unconsciously, and how those patterns show up in sensation, emotion, and behavior today. And be sure to stay with us through the end, because I will be sharing a mini galactic astrology reading for this beautiful guest based on some of the key placements in her chart. So before we dive in, I do have a favor to ask. If you are enjoying the content that we are creating here on the Cycle Starters podcast, please subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps the algorithm get our content in front of more viewers. Thank you in advance for that. I really appreciate the support. And without further ado, let's welcome Malia back to the show. Hi, sister.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. And also, when you were reading the description of my work, I was like, ooh, chills. Like, gotcha. I was like, ooh, fun. I want to explore that. And this is why I'm here.
This is why you're here. And I love the energy that you bring to every interaction. And I'm so deeply grateful that you're going to be sharing your medicine inside of the Cosmic Awakening Circle, which is my paid membership. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm so excited and so happy to offer and bring these explorations to people.
Perfect. All right. Well, so it's been a while since you've been on the show. It's been, I think, like at least 6 months. So give us an update. What have you been doing? What have you been feeling? What have you been experiencing? Yeah, tell us what you've been up to.
So I just got back a couple weeks ago from my retreat that I co-facilitated with my dear friend Kendra Adler, who is a somatic movement educator. And we were just in Hawaii, which I have ties to from the last 5 generations. And the whole inspiration of this retreat was bringing relationship back to land so that we can explore what that relationship, land relationship for ourselves is in this beautiful land of Hawaii, but also are the places where we reside. And also exploring our own indigeneity and how we become indigenous to place. So I'm just feeling so good because the retreat was so incredibly beautiful. And what a gift to have the space to slow down and to listen to the land. And so much of what comes from that is it's so easy to forget just this incredible earth that we live on and what is right in front of us, like what is cracking through the sidewalks, all of it, all of it. So definitely feeling the heartfelt warmth coming back from that experience.
Wonderful. I know that the retreat must have been so nourishing and inspiring. So
Yes.
thank you for doing the work that you're doing. I mean, I love that you were really focusing on our connection to land, because I do feel like that is part of the shift humanity is going through as a collective.
Hmm.
Moving away from relating to land as something that we extract from, right, to a more 5D relationship, which is the earth is alive. Everything is alive.
Yes. And
Okay. So I love it.
we mirror the earth. Our bodies are experiencing things that the earth is experiencing. And of course, there's always these layers of systemic oppression and order and power that have led us to believe that we are separate or that we are overpowering or we own, right? Um, yeah, I was about to go into something else, but I'm not going to go there.
Next workshop, your next workshop can be on land and place. I mean, I
Yes.
know I know that you have many workshops
Hmm.
inside of you that you've already taught and are to come, so put a pin in that one. Before we start talking about the amazing workshop that you have prepared for the paid membership, can you give us a refresher on your blood ancestors? Talk about the lineages that
Yeah.
you come from.
So on my mother's side, majority of that lineage is Chinese and also African ancestry. So the last time I was here, so much of that exploration was things that were revealing about learning about this African ancestry, learning about these stories of my Chinese heritage and things that have been lost, stories that have been lost, or people who have assimilated into survival. And so then my father's side is mostly Swedish and some British and French, I think. Or maybe just British. I don't know, but definitely mostly Swedish. And then it also makes me think about the Swedish parts of my lineage that I neglect. Like, what are those lineages? What are those stories? What are those indigenous practices that are deeply rooted in Scandinavian history? I don't know. There's so
Viking
much to
history.
explore. Right.
Yeah,
Pagan history. I'm like, oh, what's in there?
I love it. Well, it's so nice to have another multiracial soul on the podcast with me, because
Yeah.
each multiracial experience is different, right? There's not one. And if you want to hear more about Malia's ancestral healing story, definitely check out the first episode that she was on. You go into depth about all of it, and it's such a fascinating story. It's such a heartwarming story. So, thank you again for sharing so powerfully and vulnerably in the last episode. And I know this one is going to be just as amazing. Money and ancestors. So,
Money.
yeah, tell me what inspired you to create this workshop experience.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm like, where do we begin? We all have a money story, We all have an experience when we just think about money, what happens in the body? What do you feel? If I say, look at your bank account, what are you going to feel? What shows up? We all have an experience. And I think one of my beginning explorations around money was just feeling, I guess, an understanding and awareness of the systemic societal pressure around money and individualism and being good and successful. And I think from a young age, I was like, how am I going to be successful? How am I going to be successful? This was so much of my belief and ideas. And then I don't know about you, but I went through many money manifestation courses. And then I was like, wait, hold on, this isn't working. And then I was like, maybe if I do better, maybe if I do better. And then part of my journey was studying money trauma, how we experience money through our bodies. And that opened another door to the ancestral story of money. And I remember actually teaching a workshop once on this, where a woman who was from South Asian descent was sharing about her family. And we don't talk about money. We don't talk about this. The fact that we're even talking about this is, what? Are we allowed to? There's a brush under the rug. Make sure everything's fine. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the feeling. And so there is this story that we all hold, this experience that we all hold from what our ancestors have taught us, what our parents, our grandparents, and their parents have taught us, and also recognizing these cultural and ancestral ties to our own money stories. I believe it's one of the pieces. I think there's, of course, the personal, what's the personal story that you have, maybe from something that you experience. There's the societal experience, and there's the familial intergenerational experience. So that has opened up my eyes and my heart and my mind and my body from what I have learned from my family in those ways.
Gosh, this is going to be so good. So tell us, what can people expect from the workshop and how can they best prepare to get the most out of it?
I think what you can expect is to slow down and listen. Listen to what we have learned, what that story is, what our own experience is, and also what our ancestors asked for and called for. For anyone who's in a romantic relationship, you know money is a big part of the conversation, right? Because you're nodding your head.
Yes.
Money is a huge part of any long-term committed relationship. And part of that money story is my husband and I talking about what we've learned, what we've experienced, what we've been taught. And he is Jewish, and there's certain things that he came from in his Jewish lineage. And for me, a big influence in my lineage is my Chinese lineage. And I didn't even realize this, little things that I was doing, like my mom and I are like here for the deal. I love a sale. I love a sale. I feel like it's a game. It's a thrill. It's saving a thing, making sure I have the right resources. Okay, if I'm going to use this later. And I practice not to hoard. I practice releasing a lot, consciously practice. Because if I didn't consciously practice, I'd probably hold on to things. But there's certain things I notice about my money story, that there's this fear of, is there a better deal? Am I not getting the right thing? Am I going to be resourced? And I know a lot of that comes from my familial ties, the stories that I've learned from, especially this Chinese heritage. I feel like if you look on TikTok or Instagram or something, and it's like the bags that you save. Oh, you know, you're in an Asian household when you're looking at, yeah, right? Like, like the things that you save and the things that you hold close, and the reactions and responses that you have in relationship to money because of what you learned from your family. So I think something to expect is to slow down and listen and reflect on what that experience is intergenerationally and culturally.
Beautiful. Well, so what should people bring to the workshop? A notebook, a writing utensil? What
Yeah.
else would you suggest?
Bring a notebook, writing utensil, and your body. That's one of the biggest things, is noticing what shows up in your body. Because, I mean, Heather, you probably feel this too, is Your body remembers things that our minds don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is going to be incredible. If you are interested in participating in Malia's workshop on May 20th, the link will be in the show notes below. Also, I will put all of Malia's links that she's providing me if you want to get into contact with her. Well, so this is going to be fantastic. I want to transition into our mini galactic astrology reading. How do you
Love
feel
it.
about this?
Love it. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Okay. So, for those of you who are new to the show, who are new to my work, I am an ancestral healing guide. And part of my own ancestral healing journey has been this really beautiful and nourishing, empowering, and inspiring relationship with astrology, not as a rule, but as a wonderful tool, a language and a framework to really help you navigate your ancestral healing journey. And last year, I was inspired to expand my notion of ancestors beyond our blood ancestors into our star ancestry. And so, what galactic astrology does is that it adds an outer layer of fixed stars, supercosmic points, nebulas, black holes to your traditional planets in a tropical Western birth chart. And it speaks to your soul's journey over eons of time. So we're talking about not only past lives on Earth, but past lives that are off planet. And so it was really, really exciting to pull up your galactic report. Yeah, I know. It's like
Oh my
so
gosh.
mind blowing. Yeah. I mean, when I looked at my own galactic placements, I mean, this was just like the catalyst for everything. I felt a physical sensation of expansion
Mm.
in my body. So I'm excited to share what I found with you. So just to give people a little information, you're a Gemini sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a Sagittarius moon. And what's your rising again?
Aquarius.
Okay, right. All right, gotcha. Okay. So when I'm looking at your placements, I'm seeing a very clear theme of visionary leadership, communication, and activation just woven through it. So
Mm.
let's start with the sun in Gemini in the fourth house. It is conjunct the star Rigel, which is in the Orion constellation, and also the star Nihal in the Lepus constellation. So your sun is your core essence. It's your life force energy. It's your creative energy. It's the special sauce that you mix into everything that you do that makes you stand out from the 11 other signs. Orion, which is infused into your sun, carries this frequency of the visionary, the problem solver, the one who can navigate complexity and polarity with clarity. And Rigel, in particular, is associated with intelligence, innovation, and the ability to see pathways forward where others can feel stuck. And with this in the sign of Gemini, this means that your voice, your ideas, your perspective are central to your purpose. And in the fourth house, this wisdom is deeply rooted, right? It comes from your inner world, your emotional truth, and even, surprise, your ancestral line. So you're not just speaking ideas, you're speaking from this deep embodied knowing. This moon, which is your emotional core, right? Your emotional inheritance, ancestral wounds, but also gifts that your ancestors have given you, is in the 11th house of groups and friends and like-minded souls, but also the movement that you came here to lead. And it is conjunct the Galactic Center, which is one of the super cosmic points in galactic astrology. So that, I feel, is a major signature of a teacher, a guide, and an influencer. And the Galactic Center is the center of our Milky Way galaxy, by the way. It's like a cosmic broadcasting point. It carries higher wisdom, big picture vision, and truth. And so with your moon here, your emotional body is attuned to meaning and purpose and expansion. And in this 11th house of community and collective impact, I feel like this suggests that your presence naturally inspires groups of people because you help others see a bigger vision for their lives and for the world. Okay, there's more. And I was just scratching the surface because there's a lot here. So Mercury is the planet of what we think about and what we talk about for hours and hours, right? It's how your mind works, it's how you process information, it's how you communicate, how you think. And your Mercury is in the 3rd house of communication, so that already tells me that it's strong. It's conjunct the star Perseus Algol, and this is incredibly powerful because Algol has this reputation for intensity. But in galactic astrology, it's also associated with raw truth and perception and this ability to see what other people would avoid. So with Mercury, right, your voice, your mind, your communication, you are someone who can speak to the deeper, sometimes really uncomfortable realities of life in a way that just cuts through illusion. And this is the voice of someone who doesn't bypass. You transform through truth. Then there's more. Your Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. It's like where you shine in your spiritual development. It's the planet of luck and good fortune. And Chiron, which speaks to your deepest wound, which is often ancestral, but also your healing powers when you can transmute that wound. They're both in the 5th house of creativity and the inner child. They're both conjunct the star Sirius, which has a very, very strong connection to ancient Egypt, by the way. So Sirius and the Dogon tribe in Mali, by the way. So it's often called the spiritual sun. It carries ancient wisdom, healing energy, and a deep connection to higher consciousness. So Jupiter expands this, and then Chiron brings the healer archetype to this. So in the 5th house of creativity, expression, and joy, this just tells me that your creativity is healing. And your self-expression has the power to awaken, nurture, and restore others. And there's just this very deep medicine in the way that you show up, especially when you're fully in your heart and sharing from that place. And then finally, your Neptune in Capricorn in the 11th house is conjunct Lyra Vega, and this adds a visionary, almost otherworldly layer to your connection with community and collective work. So Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's dreams, illusions, our past lives, where we want to merge with the oneness of all that is. And Vega carries these themes of advanced spiritual insight and creative intelligence. And so Neptune here, I think, suggests that your dreams and your visions and your intuitive downloads are meant to shape how you show up in groups, in movements, and collective spaces. You're not just part of a community, you help evolve a community. And so when I look at all of this together, I see someone who is here to communicate truth, to inspire vision, and activate transformation in others. So you're a bridge between insight and expression, between vision and embodiment. Your voice matters, your perspective matters. And when you trust what you see, even when it feels bold or different, you create these ripple effects that reach far beyond what you can immediately see. So you're not just here to participate in the conversation, you're here to shift it. So that's just scratching the surface. I know that was a lot. How is this landing?
Well, I just want to get the transcript from this
Yeah.
and let that be on my website as my whole bio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you a little bit, and this makes sense to me. Like, how do you feel hearing all of
I
this?
mean, 100%. That feels so me. Something that feels really validating is, I think we shared, but I really love exploring and using human design as a tool.
Hmm.
And so many parts of the things that you shared were certain insights that I've been playing with of trusting. And hearing you say those same things, I'm like, yes, like such another validation of trust in what I see, what I witness. I was even in a meeting yesterday, a possible collaboration with a nonprofit, social justice nonprofit here in LA. And she was talking about all of these issues, challenges, things that are going on. I started smiling.
Hmm.
This is what happens for me. I start smiling and I do a little like tiny clap. I'm like, like I just get so excited as she's talking about all of these problems that she's happening. And my brain is just going off with ideas of how to support, how to nourish, how to shift the conversation, how to communicate the challenge that is happening here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be smiling. I just have so many ideas. And she was just like, I'm so excited that you have all these ideas because something that you shared that speaks very clearly to me is I do see things, do kind of the problem solver, but I do see things, especially when it comes to human reaction or connection and relationships. And I see ways that we can address it and have the hard conversation. And that was exactly what you just shared was the things that people might not want to talk about, people might want to avoid. Something that I've always found I have a gift to is being able to address it and move with it and find that movement through it. So I very much relate.
You're
That
so
sounds like
magical.
me in a nutshell.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this was so fun to look at and sort of unpack. I mean, definitely because your sun is conjunct Orion Regal, you have a strong soul connection to the Orion constellation. So your sun, your moon, your rising sign, if they have a conjunction or a direct relationship with any fixed stars, that says to me that that's a recent incarnation for you. Like
Mm,
you were there not that long ago. And then, like, the further back we go with the planets, past Saturn, the outer planets, they speak to our most distant galactic ancestors. So there's a lot here, but there's also that Sirius connection too with ancient Egypt, conjunct
mm,
your Jupiter and your Chiron. So, I'm planting some seeds for you to,
yeah.
dive into like whatever speaks to you. But thank you so much for letting me look at your chart.
Yes. Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
This relationship to ancient Egypt, and you also said the Dogon tribe.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so the Dogon tribe, from what I understand, so this is in Mali. They're in northern Africa towards the west side, between West Africa and the north of Africa. They've had a relationship with Sirius for eons of time. And my understanding is that they still participate in ceremonies to honor their star
Mm,
brothers, visitors from Sirius. And then also, Sirius is very much connected to the ancient Egyptian civilization. And I want to dive deeper into this myself. I'm definitely not an expert, but if you have felt connected to ancient Egypt at all, this
yeah.
could, you know, be an explanation as of why you have a soul connection.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I do. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm curious. I mean, I don't know if it was this childhood, fascination of ancient Egypt, or I think going into the thing that feels hard is I've always been drawn to, I mean, tragedy or very tragic collective experiences. Even as a child, I was always like, why? Like, what's going on here? What's happening here? How did this happen? How could this happen? What's happening in the thought process, in the mind? Like, I was a kid thinking about this. So I think both there was that connection to ancient Egypt, but also curiosity of tragedy and things that happened that were tragic. And so yeah, I'm curious about that in so many ways, and also Sirius and Orion and what these constellations are speaking to. That's beautiful insight and doors to open.
100%. And we're all multi galactic. but not everybody has these conjunctions to fix stars. So
Mm,
I feel like you have soul connections to many different constellations, but those are the ones that really, really jumped out at me.
mhm.
Tell her this. She needs to know this. So yeah, thank you. It's a gift. It's a
Wow.
gift for me to share this information and yeah, spark some curiosity about, your past lives off planet and your past lives potentially in ancient Egypt. So, who knows?
Wow.
It's super
I feel
cool.
like 10-year-old me is like, "Whoa."
That's how I felt. That's how I felt when I first looked at my own galactic report. So,
Yeah.
my goodness. So that was fun. Thank you. Thank you for
Oh,
letting
thank
me
you
do
so
that.
much.
Yeah, of course. And I would love to give you a full galactic reading at some point. I trust in divine timing with all of that. If you're
Yeah.
watching this and wanting to have your own galactic reading, I will put the link below in the show notes, but you can just go to heatherrebeccawilson.com/readings and you'll see all the different options. So there's like a short 30-minute option, and then the full divine blueprint activation is a 2-hour experience where I open your soul records, tell you about your soul colors, spirit guides, soul origin, all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, if that speaks to you, that's available. Right now, I want to give you, Malia, a chance to share what you're working on now. What are you excited about? Any new projects?
Yeah. Well, coming back from the retreat, I said I wouldn't plan another retreat. And now I'm like, ooh, where are we going? What are we doing? So, at least in the LA area, I know that we're going to plan some mini retreats, which Heather, I will definitely share with you just a day, land based connections in these relationships. And then I actually love that we're doing this workshop on our ancestral money story because it's part of it has inspired a longer series that will probably be in the fall. So that is going to be called Money Play. And it is an exploration, a body based exploration of money and our relationship in multiple avenues. So just giving ourselves time and space to play. And I think we might do an intensive too, like a 2-day exploration of those body based play. So this will be such a fun experience to be in this workshop specifically around the ancestral story. So there's definitely more of this work that is around to deepen into.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that it's called money play because you have such a playful energy. I love that you mentioned fun because I think you're a super fun person. So, yes, I'm so glad you're doing this. Most people do not have any clue that their relationship to money is very much tied to their lineages, right? And
Mhm.
not only what their parents taught them, but, generations going back for a while. So I love that we're diving into this topic. I know it's going to be very enlightening and very empowering for people. So thank you again for creating this
Yes.
experience and doing all of the work that you've been doing. So if people want to learn more about you, work with you, where should they go to get
Yeah.
in
Well,
contact?
I will always have my updates on my website, maliawright.com. And you can always contact me at malia@maliawright.com. How many times am I about to say Malia? And then I'm not always on social media because I notice my nervous system when I'm on social media. And so I'm not always there, but every once in a while I show up. And my Instagram handle is Malia E for Elizabeth Wright. And so you can find me there and look at beautiful multiracial experience and storytelling and somatic embodiment work. And yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you at the end of the first podcast episode that we did, because perhaps the answer has changed since then. So, what are the new cycles that you're starting in your lineages?
The first thing that shows up in my mind, like pops up in my head, is my husband and I have been on a fertility journey for a while now, about 4.5 years. And one of the most interesting things that was showing up is for the last 4.5 years, I have been thinking about it, getting medical and health support and all of the things. And when I went on this retreat for the first half of this retreat, I remember just feeling like I wasn't thinking about it. And it was amazing. And it wasn't that it wasn't there or I was neglecting this part of lineage and my future generation from my lineage. But I just remember feeling that kind of just that phrase, so be it. And even when we were intention setting, over the last 4.5 years, intention setting, every single time I've been in like some healing space, intention setting is baby, baby, baby. And for the first time, I didn't have this feeling of baby, baby. I just had this feeling of, oh, what's present in my body? Like, what am I feeling right now? And it was me. It was just me. It was just my body. And so when you're asking this question, I had that memory from being in this retreat experience, listening to the land, that the land is that feeling of so be it. And I felt so much ease in my body. And then halfway through, I started thinking about my future child, but it wasn't in the same way. It was just like, let it be. They're coming in their own time, which I've known, but let it be. And so it makes me think, as you ask that question, what are the cycles that are shifting? What are the cycles, the seeds that are planting for new cycles? It makes me think about the work that I'm exploring and feeling and just releasing, and what that actually creates, what room that creates for my child when I am able to just release that hold or grip, or just that deep cord saying, this is going to happen. And then releasing that palm open and saying, this is happening in its own way and I can't control it. So I think that's the cycle, like even just that feeling. And like, oh, I can tell that whoever's coming through, they're going to have a piece of that feeling.
Beautiful. Cycles of surrender. Yeah. Now I know that there is a spirit baby hovering, waiting for the right time
Mm-hmm.
to move into your family and become a beautiful teacher for
Yep.
everybody. Yeah,
Yes.
sending you so much love and so many blessings on that front.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I know that that will be powerful for others to hear who are also, on a fertility journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my dear, I'm so excited for your workshop. So, everybody, Malia's workshop on your ancestral money story will be happening on May 20th. You can go to heatherrebeccawilson.com to get more information, but I will put the link to sign up for the workshop in the show notes. Malia, this has been fabulous. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing all of your
Thank you so
wisdom and
much.
brilliance. All
Yay.
right, everybody. We will see you next time on the Cycle Starters podcast. Take care. Thanks, Malia.